Electric Cafe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. I hope everybody is doing really well as we start a new month, April 2025. The year is already going by so quickly. I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple things that happened this weekend. Just I was DJing at this. Well, this could be a little bit of a rant video and also a little bit of a conversation, maybe to other DJs who play and maybe other DJs, people that aspire to be DJs or want to be DJs, and kind of the reality of some things when you're on maybe my level of DJing, which isn't necessarily a high level at all. I'm not jet setting across the world, and I'm just playing some local places here and there. And generally, it's not the ideal music that I'd enjoy like playing, but I do play because I like the music. Of course, I wouldn't play it unless I did like the music. But every DJ has, well, for the most part, I would say every DJ, but DJs on my lower level, like myself, we have to, play music to appease the crowd a lot more, and take. I wouldn't say necessarily take requests, but sometimes you do that as well. But I got a chance to play this. Well, there's actually two things I want to talk about: DJing at '80s parties, and then just talking about uh, actually the process of DJing and DJing '80s sets in general, about playing them and how to play them and stuff like that. How to play a '80s set. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was a little bit about like the set list and how it was received. And so when I was leading up to this party, it was a themed night. It's called Pretty in Pink, and it's kind of a prom theme night, but it's generally '80s music. So this is the second time I got a chance to play this. I played this last year in February, and this year I had an idea what to play because this is the second time I played at this particular venue. I had an idea of what people were suggesting. It was a little bit more pop than just new wave, so I squeezed in a little bit more '80s or a little bit more mainstream music, stuff that I wouldn't normally play. But generally mostly dance music, and it was mostly stuff that, I mean, there's nothing on the list that I don't like. It's just maybe some stuff that I wouldn't play. So I'm playing for about 3.5 hours, right? Ends up being probably about 150 to 175, maybe 200 people in the place, right? It's fairly packed. It's a good turnout. I had my set list probably about a couple weeks before the event, and I sent it to the promoter because she wants to be involved in what's being played. Because sometimes she gets feedback of people with opinions, and they want to play stuff, and I mean they want to hear stuff, and they I'm a newer this of sort of um, this particular promoter has been going on for about 14 years, and I've only been playing with her for the last maybe like 6 or 7 shows, and not everybody gets to every show, but there was some, maybe the DJ before me was there for quite a few years, and I got a little bit of feedback from one of the shows that I was playing a little bit too new music, and trying to, and this wasn't the music that was normally played at that night and what have you, and for the most part it was like 95, 99% of people were happy, and a lot of people said great things. But you always do kind of address the criticism or people that aren't happy to see if you can make them happy. I'm getting paid for this, so my desire is to make sure the promoter is happy with people that are go there. It's not as serious as playing like a techno night or a house set, and it's just a different ballpark, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about because it's interesting. It's kind of, I'll probably have a little bit of rant here also, but it's just kind of interesting to play these kind of nights. And so I had the set list, and then um, she had some tracks in there and so it ended up being, oh, and then this is the first time that she actually asked on Facebook and social media if there were some tracks that people would like me to consider playing, right? So she's like, oh, there's no guarantee he'll play him, but I'll give him to him and see what he is. So all the onus kind of goes on me if I don't play something, right? And that's fine. It is what it is. And so about what turned out to be 3.5 hours of me DJing turned out to be about half of what I wanted to play. You know, a good mix of stuff I felt like, and a quarter of it was the promoters, and then probably a quarter of it was what people suggested, which stuff that I was okay with playing. There was some stuff that I was kind of like, I think somebody recommended like Footloose by, maybe somebody recommended like a Bruce Springsteen song or something like that, Dancing in the Dark. Yeah, I'm not playing that. We tend to have more of a new wave night. Obviously with the Pretty in Pink theme, it's more towards new wave. And the set list that I originally had was all around like 1985, 1986, which is when Pretty in Pink was coming out. So I wanted to really kind of give it like a time capsule, like you were going to a new wave party at that particular year. And the promoter really liked that idea, but as she saw the set list, she was like, okay, I think we need to include a little bit of other stuff too, just because I have a feeling that this crowd might be a little bit more, wouldn't say demanding, but want a little bit more variety. So there's a couple of '90s songs I put in there, but not too much. But I just plugged in some more popular stuff, and she made some good suggestions, which went over well with the crowd and everything like that. But it's interesting because this is the second time I played there, so I kind of had an idea um, about a little bit more what to play. So I definitely got bothered or asked less, to play because I made less eye contact with the crowd. In this particular club, she gave me the option, like she did last time. Do you want to play on the stage, or do you want to play in the bird's nest? And the bird's nest is like 20 feet off the ground and kind of overlooks the dance floor and has lighting and stuff like that. It kind of has a really nice old school, everything's wood, and it kind of has a old school club feel, which is cool. And then there's a stage where bands play. And it's a fairly big stage. And I didn't necessarily want to be up there because I for two reasons. I like to stay focused and not get bothered and do my best and focus on what I want to play because I don't play pre-planned sets. I play live and I take it seriously, obviously, and I generally don't like to get requests, or get bothered or get talked to. In some venues, I expect it and I'm perfectly fine with it. But in some things in this particular one, like the first time I played there, um, I was making eye contact with a lot of the dancers, and they kind of got to the point where they were like trying to request things, like trying to talk to me while the music was going, and I was like, and she was like, some girls were like, come down the steps and talk, and then they would suggest songs, and one of them was like, "Can you play a Madonna song?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I'll try to play another one." I just played one like half an hour ago, but I'll play another one. I'll try to. Or I didn't say it like that. I mean, I said it nicely, but I'm a little frustrated about it now. But at the time, I was like, "Yeah, yeah, sure. I'll try to play another one." I did play another one a little bit ago. You might have missed it, but I'll try to squeeze another one, and I did. But there was two times where somebody actually walked up the 20 stairs, which is blocked off with a door, like a sort of a swing door. It doesn't say like employees only or anything like that, but these two people, two different times, walked up the stairs and stood next to me, and I was like, oh my, it's kind of scared me the first time, and the second time I kind of expected it. But this girl was like, can you play Jam on It by Nucleus? And I was trying to be really polite, even though they were in there. I wasn't, it's not my place to say get out or something like that. I was just like, yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, I love that track, but unfortunately, for the first time, I had brought all vinyl and CDs, and so because I was kind of giving it more like a '80s vibe and playing all vinyl for the most part, I plugged in some CDs here and there for that particular night. But I was like, I love Nucleus, I love that track, but unfortunately, I didn't bring that record, with me, so I can't play it. And she was like, "What do you mean you can't play it?" And I was like, "I only brought vinyl. I didn't bring that record. I do have it at home though. I love that record, but I just didn't bring it." And she was like, "What do you mean?" And so then I was like, "Oh, she thinks I can download it. She doesn't know I'm playing records, even though I said I'm playing records." So I was like, unfortunately, I can't download it. I didn't bring my computer. I'm playing physical records. And she was like, "Oh." okay. And then she left. And then I saw her walk down to her group of friends, and she was kind of like, kind of like this motion like this. And so I felt a little bad that I wasn't able to take that request. But then the second time it was like, can you play Madonna? Can you play Madonna? And I got that like all night from these girls. And it's kind of a prom themes where people dress a lot like 80s, and a lot of girls were dressing up like Madonna. And I have a kind of a love hate relationship with Madonna. I can't stand her as a person. Uh, of course, anybody who likes dance music liked some Madonna songs back in the day. Like I like Lucky Star. I like uh, Island Bonita. I like uh, I'm blanking on some songs right now. I don't mind Frozen. I like Bedtime Stories. There's a couple tracks on there. Uh, the Nature's one. Um, Human Nature, the Michael Jackson cover. That was a good song. I like Justify My Love. I like. There's a couple tracks from. I'm blanking on her debut album right now. Is it? I can't remember the song. I don't like Holiday. I don't like Borderline per se. I don't really necessarily like her popular ones, but there's a couple songs on almost every album from like '84 to like maybe '94. I think Ray of Light is overrated. Although I do like Erotica, which I think is on. Oh no, not Erotica's on Bedtime Story, but I do like not Deeper and Deeper, but maybe it's Rain. There's one song on Ray Lila, but after that, I don't really like any of her music. But I don't like her as a person. My, I don't like the way she manipulated the media and stole a lot of other, you know, she stole like the Vogue from the club scene and made it popular. And she was just always on the edge and trying to do things just for popularity sense. And then the other thing is my friend in LA at the time was her bodyguard, and we used to go over to Madonna's house and have barbecue when she was away, at her other home. And he would just tell me stories about her, and I was just like, wow, what a bitch. Excuse my language. Um, so there's some I have a love hate relationship with Madonna. In fact, I DJ'd at one of her parties back in like the early 2000s, and at her house in Beverly Hills or Bel Air, and so I kind of love it. But seems like all the times I play these '80s parties, they suggest like, hey, play Madonna. So I had two Madonna songs ready to play, and the one girl. I'll finish this, then I'll go on to DJing '80s sets. But the I'm looking, I'm not making eye contact this time because I know better. Because there's a couple. There was one girl in particular dressed like Madonna, and she was like this. She was like in the middle of the dance floor, like staring at me, right? And I was kind of like looking at a mixer, and I kind of, just kind of lightly went down and acted like I didn't see her, right? But I saw her, and so I was like, I guess she doesn't like this track. I think I was playing Suburbia by Pet Shop Boys. It was towards the end of the night. It was like the last half an hour, last 40. So pretty much, I played a lot of really uplifting tracks at the end. Like it was like, I'll Melt with You, Modern English, Communards. I think I played Small Town Boy by Bronski Beats. Some big tracks, right? I think even some disco ones in there. Like, well, not really disco. Um, the one Communard song, the Love Lead Me This Way or whatever it is, that more disco one. But some big tracks in there, some like Rock Lobster, B-52, some ones that I knew would go over really well in the last like half an hour. Because I did it was from 6 to 10:30, so like 9 to 9:30, I threw a few kind of like fun songs in there, ones that that are gonna work, like Big Country or Blister in the Sun by Violent Femmes, or maybe a B-52 song in there. Uh, Don't You Forget About Me, Simple Minds. I think I put Temptation in there from New Order. Some for sure hits that would go over well. And then I sort of brought it back and closed the end of the night, the last half an hour with some some more for sure. But the first half an hour was a little bit more rock because I put in like well, a little bit of more mix because I put in like Mirror in the Bathroom, and I think I put Boys and Girls in there from Blur just to throw in a curveball. I think that was the only track I played from the '90s. But you know, that was those few of those were kind of suggestions that people had, and I kind of put them in there and sort of. And so she's sitting there like this, like staring at me, and I sort of, you know, calmed down, and I didn't look at her. I acted like I didn't see her. And so I guess she doesn't like this song. So I'm going to the next song, and then I have. So I was like, does she like this song? So I kind of look, and she's like, and she gets all her friends to dance. Next song is and next song I guess she doesn't like. I think it was Yaz, maybe Don't Go, which you know I can't believe anybody doesn't like that song. She's sitting here like this, like. Then I played another song, and she's like, I love this song, and I'm just like, seriously, like you're on the middle of the crowd, like getting everybody to approve and disapprove of a song. It was just like it's strange when you're. And the reason why I'm bringing this up because it's strange when you DJ techno or you DJ house or you're playing more of an electronic party. There's like more trust towards the DJ that you know he knows what he's doing. He's going to play some good music, and even if not, this is his hour or whatever. This is his hobby. This is his you know this is his love. This is what he's getting paid to do. Whatever it is, like this is what he brought. And it's even more strange considering that a lot of people think that I have pre-made my set and that I'm not picking songs as I'm going. Like, so for her to think that I can just adjust and play different songs, I guess she sort of has an old school feel of how DJ sets should be, and you should be picking sets, tracks, um, picking songs as you go, which like a normal DJ does. And it's funny that not everybody kind of gets that. And so anyways, like so it's just interesting like playing like new wave and like what I was saying about like techno and house is you kind of get a not necessarily a pass, but you kind of get like a respect of like okay, you really know your music. You know, I'm gonna leave you alone. But sometimes when you play like it's kind of hard to explain, but I think you guys get what I mean. But when you play like an '80s set or something like that, it's or in this type of environment, it just becomes like it's almost like you're playing karaoke or something like that, and people are just trying to come up to you and request songs, and it's an interesting it's an interesting dynamic. It's a different kind of pressure. Like when you're mixing house or techno, you're kind of worried about how your mixes are, and when you're playing '80s music for like a '80s crowd or new wave or something like that, you got to worry not so much about your mixing and well, you just got to make sure the music's going. That's one thing, you know. Like if a song stops, which one did, you just kind of like you know you immediately start hearing some boos because one of my CDRs stopped playing, and luckily I immediately had a track like queued up, and so there was a break of like a second or two, and I was just like, oh screw it, play, and we went right into a good track that they all liked anyways. So it wasn't a big deal, but you know you have to be prepared for that stuff when you play digital. Sometimes that's another reason why I like playing vinyl so much is there's a you can't stop the music with vinyl unless the electricity goes out for the most part. Unless a needle breaks or something like that, I guess. But still have one record I can still, you know, at least. But I always bring like for this one I brought two CD players and my computer. So I was playing CDs and then my backup was computer in case the CDs like didn't play, and that was what happened. But yeah, it's interesting playing the '80s because people just come up to you and not necessarily bother you, but they want to hear different songs and they want to request songs and they think you can change it up. And then the other thing I wanted to say was, or maybe it's sort of a rant, or maybe it's just I wanted to explain how I mix, or maybe just in general talk about how people mix in general or they don't mix. Um, it's interesting because I got this one question to the promoter. This is a couple days before the set, and I guess this person had heard me play before, and they asked the promoter to ask me how come I don't mix the songs together. And I was like, or how come I don't mix? I think it was like that. How come I don't mix? I think that was the question. And so I was, I thought about it for a few hours, and I was like, how am I going to respond to this in a text message? It's just, it takes a lot to explain. So, ended up the next day I responded to her because I just, I had to stop myself like a couple times because I just, it's, I wouldn't say I was offended, but it's just a lot to explain. So then I felt I needed to explain it because that's just me. I like to for people to understand it. And at first I was like, okay, it's not my whole set. I'm playing 80s night. I'm trying to fit as many tracks as I can into one night. So into one set. So some of the stuff is requests. Some of the stuff, half of it is stuff that I don't necessarily wouldn't say I want to play, but I could still mix it live. But mixing English beat into the Cure. You know what I mean? Like, please show me somebody who DJs who knows how to mix that without doing extended versions, unless they're gonna pre-program it on their digital set, and not. And so I do it live, and I like to keep. I play original songs and original remixes, and there's times when I mixed songs together, So I was just like the first thing I started out with saying was like, well, first off, I do mix. Anybody who picks music eh, without it being pre-planned, or even pre-planned, you could probably say that's even DJ. But I'm picking songs to play as I'm going, and I'm blending them together. I'm not just waiting for a pause and then putting in a CD and playing. Like I'm mixing them together. They might not be on beat all the time, but I'm mixing them together. But they shouldn't be on beat because you try to mix, the Cure and English beat. You know what I mean? And that's the other thing is I don't like doing mashups. I don't like changing the beat and putting a vocal over it. Like I think that is I think it's very hit or miss, and 99% of the time it's miss. I've heard a few times it could be, and if I'm sure if I did it, it would be more to my liking. But putting a dance beat and then taking a song's lyrics and putting it over that just so you can mix it, I think that's lame. I think it can be done well, but 99 times out of 100 when I hear DJs do that, it doesn't go off well. A, because I don't, for me, that's just a personal preference, because A, I like the original track. I want to play the original track. I don't want to hear some other song's beat, with another song over the top. A lot of times it's not in the right key. It loses a lot. It doesn't go well with the vocal, and just so you can say you mixed them together. And so that was the kind of idea that I had with this person asking. I was like, oh well, I am mixing. I guess what they're asking is why don't I beat mix or match or beat match? And I was like, well, sometimes I do, but if I don't, it's because of A, B, C, D. It's different songs. It's different genres. Yeah, if I'm playing house and techno, like I have to mix beat match. That's part of the that's part of the So a lot of it depends on the genre. It's just it's funny when you see people that have a strong opinion for whoever's DJing and what they're playing. It gives you a new kind of respect for, or I guess a new kind of temperament to be around it. I'm the kind of person that like if I hear a bad DJ play or if I'm not liking it, I just don't really say anything. I mean, I don't say anything outside of my. I might say a few things to my friends or people around, or I'll walk off the dance floor. Or I just won't dance, or I'll go over there and just kind of like But I won't like. I won't like. Hopefully I don't offend a DJ. Although I've done it in the past. But it's different when you play like a '90s, a sort of an old school set with like '80s music and stuff like that. People just get so opinionated. You know what I mean? Like obviously, if the promoter is taking requests, I'm going to be playing a lot of different music. So don't look frustrated at me if I play a song. That means somebody else wanted to hear that song, just like you wanted to hear another song. But it's just 99% of the night went fine. But it's just this one girl, in the middle of the dance floor for like 5, 6 songs was like every other song was like looking at me, and then she was like, "Oh, I love this song," and then like, so I was just like, "Really?" I was like, "You're gonna spend your time on the dance floor in the middle of the dance floor like that?" Like, You know what I mean? It's just interesting. It's just really really interesting. But I got a lot less people like asking for tracks, and that's why I like to be up in the sort of bird's nest up there. But it's interesting. But you know, it's also interesting like pre-mixing sets and not pre-mixing sets. I don't pre-mix sets. I do it live, and I like to honor the original song and original versions and play those. I don't like to play mashups or newer remixes of 80 songs for the most part. I like to keep it original, keep the vibe original, and also kind of mix like they would back in the day. You know, keeping it sort of a vintage theme night. That's just me. I'm not gonna now. If you wanted to pay me more and I'll set together and digitally, you know, do a mix and have all the beats lined up and edit it all out and keep the tempos and match the keys and stuff. You know, I could do that, I suppose, but it'd be awfully boring for me. That's for sure. And I would, I like the pressure and the tension of mixing live, and I don't know what track to play. Oh, I think this will go over well. Like it's so often where I hear DJs play and they have pre-mix sets, and you just can't. The DJ doesn't know how to um, veer off into another track. This if something's not going well, or change the mood. I hear so often like newer DJs make the mistake of no, I wouldn't say make the mistake because sometimes they don't work. But if you know something's not working and then you continually and you don't switch it up, then you're not really being a DJ, in my opinion. You know, especially when you're getting paid, like you have to bend the rules and get people dancing. You know, that's part of the deal. That's what the expectation is. And then also like if nobody's on the dance floor and you're like an opening DJ and you're like, oh, I got this set all set up and I'm gonna play out this track. This is what I want to play, and you're just all about yourself because you're like you want this music that you're finding that you're really excited about. You want to play this set and really really wow the people with what you're learning about music and what you're liking and what your style is. Like I remember a time like that when I was like that when I was really young. Like this is what I want to play, and then I was playing it, and there was at the time there was nobody on the dance floor because I was the opening DJ, and I was just like, screw this, I'm gonna play something else, and I was playing kind of more lounge music and lower house music and stuff to get people warmed up to get on the dance floor. You can't just come out with like heaters and come out with like big tracks at like 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. when it's going to 12, 1, 2, 3 in the morning. You know what I mean? You gotta know your place when you're DJing and how to ramp up the night. Luckily at this place there's like a decibel reading, so I warmed up like around 84, 85, and then towards the end of the night got to about 90, 95 to 97, decibels. Which the owner of the club was like, hey, don't go around, at the most go around 102 to 104, somewhere around there. And I like to go a little bit under that because I don't want to kill people's ears. And it depends. Sometimes when I'm playing vinyl, I will go to a little bit higher BPM because it's I mean a little bit higher decibels because I know it's analog and it's a little bit warmer on their ears. You get less ear fatigue if you play vinyl. Digital can be a little bit abrasive sometimes, especially long hours of it. It can really hurt your ears. And it's funny too because I went up to the bar the people that were working the bar, and I was like, hey, thanks for a good night, appreciate it. Gave him a tip. Um, and then what did I say? Oh, I noticed they all had earpieces on, and I was like, oh, well, I hope you guys like the music. Looks like you guys like mentioning like you guys all have your headsets in. It's like, oh, well, we got to listen to the security, and then also most of the people that play here, they play it so loud that we have to play, have to wear earplugs. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Like these digital DJs, man, they will just destroy your ears. A lot of times, even the veteran ones, they will, it's Man, if you're downloading tracks and you're DJing them out, and there's some really rough downloads out there that people don't, you know, just a lack. Sometimes you gotta play digital music a little bit lower than you normally would. It's just you can't just go up to zero and just be like, oh, it's peak time right now. It's not in the red. Oh, I'm good. Like, no, I mean, look at where the look at where the dynamics are. Like your dynamics, it's like there's one or two LEDs that are like red. I mean, that are sort of yellow. There's no dynamics. You're not seeing green and then yellow and then almost up to red. Like, I mean, you're up there right at the pitch. I don't know if you got a compressor on or what have you, but like you're killing people's ears, guy. And a lot of these kids don't know it. They're just there to have a good time, and they don't know how loud it is. It's funny as you get older, you're like, as soon as like when you get to my age, like I'll be 49 this month, and you go into immediately you go into a club and you hear somebody playing, you're like, okay, I'm not going to stand in front of the speaker there. This DJ is killing it. But yeah, anyways, I'll put up the set list of what I played just for fun, so you can kind of see some of the songs I enjoyed playing. Some of them I squeezed in. A quarter of them were the promoters' suggestion. A quarter of them were other people's suggestion. But I think all in all, it was a fun night. I enjoyed myself. I think everyone went well. I got a lot of good feedback, and it looked like everybody had a good time. We didn't really get any bad feedback. The only awkward moment was that one girl on stage, but it wasn't surprising because she was the same girl that was complaining about, or wanting. Well, she actually I remember her from the first time. She was one of the ones that asked for Madonna tracks, and the one who looked kind of frustrated because I wasn't playing music that she liked. So it's just one of those persons that you're not going to really make happy regardless. But overall, it was a fun night. But I'll put up the track list just so you guys can see what an 80s, sort of 80s night set looks like. And it was kind of fun. You'll get a laugh, but I played Careless Whisper at the end. And I wasn't sure if I was going to play it. Like the promoter had suggested playing Careless Whisper. I wanted to play I'm Not With You, sort of going out because that everybody kind of likes that song. It's kind of a good going away song. But it was like 2 minutes till, and so I had like a couple minutes extra to play. So I was like, screw it, I'm going to play Careless Whisper. And I sort of played it at a lower level because people were starting to file out, and then I would take out the bass and bring up the volume and just the vocals, and everybody was sort of singing, and then I'd put it back in the bass line and have it right out, and everybody was singing as they were going on. It was a cool night. Can't go wrong with Careless Whisper, even though that saxophone is cheesy. I love the keyboard sound on the last minute and a half of Careless Whisper as it fades out. I love that part. So smooth. Love that track, even though that saxophone is pretty corny. But yeah, thanks for listening to my sort of rant and me talk about 80s night DJing and just DJing in general. Just curious if you have any thoughts on DJing in general and what I talked about. Just curious. All right, thanks so much.
Sugar